ready to make a movie. Here's a girl and a gun. Come along and join the party while we stare at the sun.
And we're live.
We're live.
We're live. Welcome. Hello, everyone. This is A Girl and a Gun, the podcast coming to you live from the SMPTE Show, SMPTE 13 at Darling Harbour, Sydney Exhibition Centre. I'm Phil Moore and I'm joined as always by John Maisels.
Hello, Phil. Hello, everybody. And what a fabulous show this is. It's 10,000 square metres of space at the Darling Harbour Sydney Convention and Exhibition Centre. 10,000 square metres. If you're from overseas, that's like 100,000 square feet. This is not small. It's two entire halls here at the centre. There's well over 100 and something booths. I don't even know how many there are. Some of the stands are just absolutely spectacular. And over the week, we're going to be bringing you stuff live from here. Phil and I are going to be attempting to encapsulate as much as we possibly can from this show.
We're doing a live show every day, and we've suddenly appeared on the stream here now. If you're watching us live, you didn't get any kind of intro, and you won't get an outro because we didn't get that working. But if you're watching us after the fact, you might probably well have seen an intro.
This is, of course, the excitement of working on live television. So we said the 6 o'clock news goes to air at 6 o'clock, which in our case, 6 o'clock was 1:15. So here we are at 1:15, and I don't even know which camera I'm supposed to be looking at. So I don't know, there'd be a wide shot over there, there's me there, there's Phil on a camera.
But we're going to do about a half-hour show every single day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, when the show's on. And then on Friday at 11 o'clock, is it? We're starting. We're doing a big bumper, A Girl and a Gun episode for 1+ hours. We'll just see how long we go.
Yeah. Now, so this is live television, and for this show, it's a bit like radio. It's a bit like we started and we're running, so I don't even know who the three people are who just phoned me right now.
Well, you're wearing two hats at the moment. You're helping to organise all of this as well as doing us here.
We have here, and this is coming to you through what we've called the Student Video Project. This is particularly exciting. So it's an opportunity for us to bring together a number of people who are studying how to make, create, deliver television. From three campuses in this case, from Charles Sturt University, who provided an absolutely fabulous outside broadcast truck, from JMC Academy, who have turned up with people and with the
gear and their cameras we're using right now.
Right, on the hosting studio. And sitting behind me, and a whole lot of other bits of glue, is the set of A Girl and a Gun.
The CFO's A Girl and a Gun. So
from the Randwick campus of Sydney Institute, the Sydney Institute Film Academy. So we were going to talk about all kinds of exciting things.
And we will
today.
over the next few days. We've got lots of guests lined up.
And we will. The one thing that we weren't expecting was, and this happens. You put things together, well, some things didn't quite work. So the one thing we can't do at the moment is replay anything.
Yes.
We can record, we just can't replay.
So we couldn't play our opening thing, as I said, and we can't play a package that we had planned, but we'll get those two down the track. Yeah.
And we can't throw to a break.
We can't throw to a break.
Phil and I don't see.
Well, we're live.
Which camera are we on? Tell me, we're on that one.
Okay.
Good. So Phil and I actually don't know where we're going to head to next.
But let's get on with it. We have the first of our special guests today.
We do, and I'm hoping that his microphone is on, except
Do we have a microphone for him? Let's get a microphone organised.
Okay. So I'm going to, look, Phil, Phil, could you just stretch for a minute over there? And
I will vamp, and we'll get a microphone on our guest here before we introduce him, because we didn't get a chance to put that on him. He only just arrived just before we went to air. Meanwhile, John is scrambling over the couch to try and find that microphone that's fallen down the back somewhere. As John said, this is a collaboration between Charles Sturt University, JMC and CIFA. Charles Sturt have their OB van. Thanks to Telstra, we're streaming to you live on the web. If you're watching this after the fact, A Girl and a Gun, we're actually going to package these and put them on our website and on YouTube after the fact. But if you're watching us live, in fact, who's watching us live? Anyone? Tweet us at A Girl and a Gun. And I want to find out if anyone's actually watching us live, how big an audience we're going to be getting at the moment.
That'd be pretty exciting. So we know that the stream is up at the moment, because we've actually seen ourselves coming back. And a little later in the show, we'll be talking to you about how we're actually delivering this stream. A fabulous piece of work that Telstra has done for us. So this is coming to you live via their premium encoding uploading platform, and the pictures, when I saw them before, looked absolutely lovely. Anyway,
let's get on with it.
let's get on with it. So I think it's great time at the moment to introduce Landry Fevre, who is the keynote speaker, has been the keynote speaker here for the SMPTE conference. G'day, welcome. You know, it's like we'll do the
Nice to meet you.
Hello, Landry.
handshake thing. Landry told us before that he was was it the fourth employee to come online?
I was the 8th employee and now probably the 4th longest serving employee.
Fourth longest serving. Now your responsibility is for NBN and the media industry, is that right?
That's right. Very early on at the NBN we realized that video was a key element, almost like a make or break for the NBN business case, and we spent a lot of time trying to understand what video growth would look like in the early days, and I've kept looking at the video market and making sure we understand what all the broadcasters and YouTube players, over-the-top players are throwing onto broadband services. So yeah, so that's.
There's a lot of talk in the in the market about how the video is just the explosive factor.
That's a big selling point, isn't it, for the NBN, basically?
Well, absolutely. And the fact that programs like this have been constrained by the traditional networks. So you were saying a little earlier that sort of mobile consumption seems to be capped, but the fixed consumption is still exploding.
So when you look at the ABS data that's gathering all the data from all the different ISPs, if you divide it by the number of subscribers, back in 2009 we had every single broadband subscriber in Australia would use about 5 gigabytes of data, and now it's about to 30 gigabytes per data per month, and mobile has been pretty flat. So and it's mostly driven by video, obviously, given the amount of video now that's available out there on the internet.
How long do you think it is before the average consumer will be able to go and turn on a device that they think is a bit like a television set and just treat it like a television set, but the programs are coming from the web and they just stream exactly the same quality? And
so we're a bit behind America at the moment in the concept of streaming video, but that is slowly coming. I know Foxtel this week announced that they're going to put all of their content online for streaming.
So Foxtel is doing a lot of work on that area. They've launched Foxtel Go last year. They've done the Olympics app that was 8 live feeds onto the app. So it's pretty exciting. I think now the free-to-air and the pay TV operators in Australia are starting to realize that people want to watch the content on the device they want, where they want, not necessarily at a appointment scheduling where at 8:30 they'll be in front of the TV or have to remember to program it to run the show that they want to watch. So
let me ask you, how much is Australia, we're rolling out this infrastructure for the NBN, but how much in terms of devices and services are actually going to make the most of it? Are we there yet?
So Australia is interesting because in terms of smartphone penetration, Australia is quite advanced. At one stage it was the second highest penetration, so we had about 65% penetration. So this is like when you look at the S-curve, you're almost like at the top of the S-curve and start to slow down to 70% to going to 80%. What's interesting is the tablet market where we're still at 30% penetration. So that's going to be about 10% increase every year. So there's a couple of years where people will start to have more and more tablets, plus all the other devices that are getting connected on the smart TVs, streaming box like Apple TV, all those devices are starting to be made available to.
Now we're talking about like people at home with their living room set up and their iPads, the family set up, and how many devices might be streaming that. For our market here at the SMPTE Show for professionals, we're talking about HD, 4K content, travelling back and forth between different studios, different service providers, and using that NBN service to shuttle raw footage back and forth and around the world even.
So raw footage is, when you look, there was a presentation on 4K. You're still talking about a massive amount of data. You'll have probably, and those are for professional use. Obviously, you need to have your own dedicated pipes. I would say it's not a residential service. You've got at the moment we're offering. NBN is offering 100 megabits per second. At the end of the year, 1 gigabit per second. So any consumer will be able to order a gigabit service. Into
Now I
their
know
homes.
that technically that's hard to achieve, 1 gigabit, because of various things. Based on what's been rolled out so far, what is the average speed generally that people are getting?
So on DSL, it's sub 10 meg. It's quite low. It depends how far you live from the exchange. And when we looked at the numbers, it was about 40% lived in areas where they couldn't get more than 8 meg anyway. So and then after you have quality of the copper. There's a lot of things that are not that are coming into play. Fiber solves some of that. The more fiber you put into the network, obviously the better quality that you get. Yeah.
So, and clearly for domestic users who can get 100 megabits or 100 gigabits, this is great. You'll be able to stream, assuming that the other end can actually deliver. So, what do we do in terms of ensuring that we've got nice fat pipes to where the content is and where the CDNs are?
Well, yes, and today, even when you look at all the catch-up TV services, they are encoded at about 1 megabits per second.
Yeah.
And so we have a sort of a conundrum where most of the TV operators, they don't want to encode more because it costs them more to, if you start to provide a feed of 5 meg, there's a cost of delivering that. So the costs have come down the cost per gigabyte, on Akamai and all these type of service providers. But it still needs to come even lower compared to the US, where it's sub 1 cent per gigabyte, where we're still very, very high.
Yeah.
Landry, I'd like to take you back to a question that Phil asked, and I know we heard in the keynote session this question being asked by some of our professional users. The NBN is like, say, a gigabit down, and if you buy that package, 250 megabits up, which is like a lot.
Compared to what we've got now,
particularly compared to what we've got now. But for professional users or business users who want maybe a more symmetrical model, or who have extreme upload model, is the NBN going to be the provider for them, or is it going to be additional services from another provider?
So today you can buy fiber from Telstra, from other providers. We are working on, I think we're releasing business products by the end of the year, and you'll be able to, for this type of professional services, you need your own point-to-point fiber. So it's a slightly different architecture. So so you get your dedicated fiber where you can pump as much as 1 gig, 10 gig. It depends on the electronics you put at each end, basically. So that will be made available.
But that's an additional cost, a business expense. That's
exactly.
over and above what we're doing domestically.
Right. But imagine people working from home as a broadcast engineer. You can still work remotely, and it's still better than when you want to send files out. It's still a big gap, a big leap forward. Even if you get 100 megabits per service today.
Do you have any feel for how much data is going to be on the network at any one time?
So we know that NBN users are using twice as much as
So it's like latent load coming out. They get the service.
People are just
once they've got it, they use it.
Yeah,
exactly. And you give the speed. People will. Today a lot of the video services are delivered what we call adaptive bitrate. So it delivers to you the bitrate or the encoding, the quality of service that according to your speed. If you're on NBN, you always request a higher speed.
So with a faster service, you can get a higher resolution.
Yeah, exactly. So on the NBN, you always get delivered the higher speed. So
how is the rollout going? I mean, there's been some delays with it, but where are we up to with it?
It's been let's call it a tough slug, between doing deals and asbestos and all these things. We are running at about 7,000 or 8,000 premises a week at the moment, and we've passed 200,000 premises passed, and we are ramping up to our peak by probably end of next year at about 100,000 premises per month. So that's about 5,000 premises a day. So that's the peak, and then after that we go solid non-stop.
So you've got more than one person doing this?
Obviously, yes.
At least.
At least.
Because it's every street, every home, 100% of the population.
And for the people in the outback areas, you said K-band satellites going up 225?
So we launch at 12 megabits per second, and they'll be able to get a 25 megabits per second.
So 25 25 megabit per second service off satellite,
Yes.
even if you're in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
Which is better than nothing what some of them have now.
exactly.
It's
Yeah.
a lot
Yes.
better than that.
Yeah.
Landry, thank you very much for joining us today on A Girl and a Gun Live. We will be coming back to talk to you on future episodes of A Girl and a Gun from back in the
Excellent.
back
Yeah,
in the
let us know how
studio.
things are going.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
I know in my area I don't get it for at least another year. I miss it by 2 blocks when I happen to leave. I've got to wait another year or so.
Yeah. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
You're with A Girl and a Gun Live, coming to you from the Sydney Convention and Exhibition Centre as part of SMPTE 13. And Phil and I are here. If you just joined the program and you're watching the unedited version, you'll know that just before we went to air, the replay devices that we needed to do the tops and the tails and the break that we throw to while we switch people on the couch all vanished in a puff of, well, whatever it is that it vanished.
We just could not get it to work.
So right now, Phil is going to vamp directly
gonna
from
vamp.
this. Yeah, you're going
I'm
to talk about
vamping
that,
again.
and I'm going to do my best to go and pretend to get somebody else in onto the couch to have a bit of a
While we
chat
s-
while you're talking.
While we swap around.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's up
okay.
to you. Can you
so
do that?
we're on. I can do that.
Okay, thanks.
This is the show. We have. We can't turn the camera around, can we? We haven't got a camera here. We'll show you something in the packages, but we've got 2 halls here, as we said, of exhibitors. We've had crews running around doing little stories on all of the exhibitors here that we can. We will bring those to you in the coming days. We've done a look at Black Magic. We've looked at Lee Mack and what they're hiring. We've looked at all sorts of people and what the exhibitors are doing here. And we're trying to get our second guest into the couch while I'm vamping here. It's quite a big show. The SMPTE Show happens every 2 years, a biannual show. And John here is, apart from being a host on A Girl and a Gun and doing what we're doing right now, he's also been helping to organise the show and organise the conferences and everything else. Other guests we've got coming up are going to be some of the stall holders here. I've been trying to organise a few different people, some interesting guests. And as I said, on Friday, we're doing a big bumper episode where we'll have multiple guests, hopefully, and even a panel we're planning to try and get organised. If you're watching us live and you've got suggestions and kind of people and kind of products you'd like to see, tweet us at A Girl and a Gun. We'll look at those tweets and we'll try to organise some content from the show floor that you want to see. Now I've finished vamping because we have our next guest lined up, ready to go.
That's really great.
Yes.
You did that so well.
Thank you very much.
Look, we had so many wonderful things that we were planning to do while all that was
We'll get
happening.
there.
We were going to show you the floor. We've got, by the way, just so you know here, not only have we got the studio and the truck, we've got, 3 crews out shooting stories. So if you go to the simpty.org.au website, you'll be able to see the on-demand download packages.
Those packages, they will be part of the stream once we've finished this.
Yeah.
They'll become part of the stream.
And
yeah.
if you're watching this on the live Telstra stream, then those packages will also be appearing here. So it's just like television. You just turn it on, leave it run, use up your 30 gigabyte quota for the
Hope
month
you've got the
watching
NBN.
us. Wouldn't that'd be absolutely fabulous.
Well, we are streaming actually live at the moment and throughout this show, thanks to Telstra, who provided the bandwidth and the facilities to make this happen.
So let's bring in on to the couch.
To the couch.
To the couch without being able to throw to a break. Laurie Patton. So you're the. Do I use the word kahuna? Is that a bad word to use?
No,
You're the
no,
Telstra
I'm-
executive responsible
What's your
for
title,
this
Laurie?
area.
I'm an industry executive, which in Telstra means that they've hired me to be the bridge between the people who build things and sell things and the industry. So I come from the industry and I understand what happens in the industry.
And you
You're the
know
guy
stuff.
that knows the stuff.
I know a bit of stuff.
Well, that'd be like a bit novel, wouldn't it? So, like you've just heard, just as an aside, you've just heard Landry talking about the NBN, and I'm sure you're aware of the impact
Yep.
the NBN is going to have. So, as a telco and as an organisation that's responsible for helping to drive the explosion of content delivery over the web, what is this going to do for you? How does Telstra use the NBN effectively?
Well, Telstra, I think, will be one of the glues that will put it all together.
Yeah.
I think the big question really is what's going to happen to free-to-air television. Now, I reckon that well after I'm gone, there'll be a time when those television towers will be irrelevant because all the content will be distributed either via fibre to the home or by mobile devices. Now, sometime between now and then, the networks have to find a kind of hybrid system. And so HBB TV is what it's called. That's the main sort of term that's being...
HBB-TV.
What's that
Okay,
for?
let's expand that out.
Okay, yeah. HBB TV. Look, it's really simple. It's basically saying that some of the pictures are going to come to you as they do now from a tower on the hill, and some of the pictures are going to come to you via a broadband connection.
So hybrid broadband television? Would that be it?
Correct. It's very
I
simple.
was going to say hyper.
Well, you would, because you are hyper.
Hyper
The trick,
broadband.
of course, is to get one device
Yeah.
that brings it all in. Because in my house, we've got a television set, and it's got so many devices that it's got so many remote controls that you need a science degree to work out how to use it. So the solution that everybody's looking for is a hybrid system that will allow you to watch whatever you want to watch, whenever you want to watch, and not much care where it came from.
Yeah, yeah. So whether it's either free to air or it's come off the web or it's replayed off a stick or it's okay.
And there's two things that have to conjoin for that. One is the licensing of the content and all of that, and that's a whole other issue.
Yeah.
And then there's, as we say, the technology and trying to get that one do-everything box. And there's a few people trying to do that now.
There are. The interesting thing about the content is that the networks have got control of the bulk of the content, and that's not going to change.
So somebody is always going to be the content aggregator. Somebody's going to go and cut the deal, say we own it, and now we'll distribute it.
That's right.
Yeah.
And when you look at that, it's basically commercial television networks, public broadcasters, and what we used to be called pay TV operators, subscription television operators. They've got control of most of the content. And it's a bit like YouTube. You know, everybody's watching YouTube, but 90% of what's being watched is made by 10% of the people.
Right.
And most of it's not being watched by anybody.
But 620 million YouTube downloads a month, I think, happening at the moment. That's pretty explosive.
It is, but it's mostly the same material. It's not...
Oh, you mean the cat and the
It's the-
piano
yeah,
and the...
and
A lot of it is music videos, people watching the same music videos all the time.
And you know, we checked. This program had 250 downloads last time we looked. It's right, serious watching
We're in big
material.
numbers.
No. But it's exponential. There'll be more later.
Right, we certainly hope so.
But that's building, because things like Netflix in America, where they're doing their own original content now with House of Cards, things like that.
Yeah.
And YouTube's doing the same thing. They've got studios to make more professional content.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are creating their own channels on YouTube. Well, we're doing it with this, for example.
Sure.
And and things like the Twit Network, Revision 3, etc., and they're taking over from what broadcast TV was. People watch nothing but that. Some people watch nothing but online streaming.
Yeah, some people.
It's
not a
building.
lot. The other interesting, I think, dilemma is that with material being delivered digitally, you can really, the analytics are amazing. You can know who's watching and what kind of person they are. You can get really, really small groups of very targeted groups that can be advertised to. But nevertheless, the major advertisers still want bulk audiences, which is why event television is really becoming important. So you're getting programs that are still getting 2 million viewers. They're the ones that are being made in Australia by Australian television networks, because they're the only ones that have got the money to be able to afford that kind of production.
And that's still based on the eyes and the eyeballs to the set, and then the sponsor.
Well, that's the
move through.
importance of sporting events, for example.
Exactly.
Sure.
But look, you were talking about sort of essentially the one TV set in the living room, and you know that's the very traditional model, with the technical difference that one device can now pull content from everywhere. But then the big thing is the 2-screen or the 3-screen model now, where people are interacting with the one program from several screens at once. So what about the direction that the 2-screen, 3-screen model is going?
They're either called second screens or companion devices, and I think there's two ways in which they are working at the moment. The networks are all looking at companion devices as ways to interact with
So you're
the
sitting there
same
watching
viewers.
telly with one of these in your lap.
And still watching a television
You mean
set.
you don't?
I do.
Okay. And what do you look up on the device?
IMDb mostly. I'm checking an actor, checking a director, checking a reference for something that came up.
Right.
Or if I'm on Foxtel, I'm actually using the app to pre-record a show.
Yeah,
or
okay,
something,
so this is the same thing that I do. You see something, you go, oh, I could do a quick bit of research on this.
Yes. The other thing that people are doing is talking to each other about programs.
Yeah.
But the bad news for the networks is that 75% of that is happening on Facebook, and they've got Fango, they've got Zbox and Jump In on their own devices, but that's less than 10% of the
Because
people.
a lot of this is going to be happening on your mobile network as well as on your
Of course,
broadband
of
network.
course.
So this is additional traffic,
Absolutely.
which I'm sure you'd welcome.
But there are also people, as you were talking about other channels, there are people that are building channels specifically for second devices, and I think you'll find, outside of mainstream broadcasters, banks, for example, are starting to look at making television programs to go out to their viewers. Banks have always had in-house television for their staff.
Going to the TV set in the branch that you
Yes.
ignore as you're in the queue.
Well, that's right,
Yeah.
but those sorts of things can now be done really more inexpensively. The big stuff costs money because of the rights attached to it.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost that much to produce a football match on television. It costs a lot of money to buy the rights.
Yes.
And so, if you look at the cost of production, a traditional corporate video, and there's a lot of people out here selling equipment to make what we call corporate videos, that used to cost, say, $20,000 up to $80,000 to $100,000. You can make one of those for under 10 grand now. There's a television channel that I was involved in creating called TVS in Sydney, which is a community channel. All of the programs on that are made by community groups using cameras that they
Right.
bought at their local electronics retailer and edited on a laptop. So you can create a lot of content very inexpensively, and that's probably going to feed these companion devices. But I think the majority of people will continue to watch the big event stuff on a big screen.
Well, being able to do it that cheaply is the boon and the curse of
Yes,
this industry.
yes, it
Yes.
The one question I do have, particularly with the additional screen model, is if people are going to be interacting using the second screen, presumably that only works while they're watching a program live. So. If they're going to interact with each other.
Yes,
So like
yes.
if I'm sitting here in my lounge room, you're in
Yes,
your lounge room,
sure.
we're commenting about the same program,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't make sense if we're watching on DDRs. Is this actually being seen as pushing people back to live television?
Oh, I think it's very much a tactic. And I think live television is where it's going in terms of the major networks, because that's the stuff that they can get that no one else can get.
Yeah.
And the simple example is like Q&A, where they have their live Twitter feed,
Yeah.
things like that, which is,
Oh, and of course you respond to it very directly.
Yeah.
yes.
Yes, tomorrow send your questions to the hashtag that you can see on the screen below you, or the one that's under
But that's
your seat
also
on the
the
slip of
advantage
paper.
of online services, kind of like us and other
Yeah.
live streaming networks, where they're constantly live, they're recording live, and they've got that chat group or Twitter feed or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
It's not just broadcast TV. They're sort of playing catch up a little bit, I think, with some of the internet providers that are doing this.
Yeah, they're still doing okay though.
Yeah, sure.
So Laurie, we're sort of about to hit the wall here, so
Yep.
lots of opportunity for new business models to be coming out of this and delivery to places that previously hadn't thought of themselves as outlets
Yes.
for video.
I think that's
creation.
absolutely right. I think there are a whole lot of things that we don't know about yet, and that's the one thing that's constant in television, change.
Yeah.
Everything changes, and you can never be sure how it's going to develop.
And that's something for us to talk about in future episodes of A Girl and a Gun, and we'd be glad to have you back.
I'd be
Thank you
delighted
very
to
much.
come
Thanks
back.
for joining
Thank
us.
you
Laurie,
very much.
Laurie
Thank you.
Patton coming to us on A Girl and a Gun Live. Well, look, we've got about a minute and a half left.
Have we really?
Yeah.
Is it
before we
already?
go.
Time flies.
It
Okay.
was amazing.
We
I
want to
had-
quickly talk about why we didn't have any show opener today.
No. We're not going to talk about that. I was actually going to talk about this fabulous piece of kit here
Yeah?
that I just wish I'd had this 30 years ago when I was building my
What is it?
television station. This is like the replacement for a VTR. It plays material straight off one of these devices. That's it.
SSD?
It's SSD.
Yep.
You just plug it in. It comes up almost immediately.
Black Magic,
You hit the
Magnus, yes?
playback button. It runs. You can jog. It's got a jog wheel. This is so easy to use, and it's so effective, and it everything just comes out the back on a whole lot of SDI and analog spigots, wow. This is, so we're going to talk more about this. We'll do a bit of a product review on one of these one day. A Girl and a Gun coming to you live from the convention centre here. Phil and I will be back tomorrow.
Back tomorrow,
with-
1:15, live again with
Yeah.
lots more.
with spectacularly improved production values.
Hopefully.
Today, the credit's going to the students from JMC Academy, Randwick, Sydney
Sydney
Institute Film Academy,
And Charles Sturt University. Thank you
It's
to
just
all.
Such an absolute mouthful. If you'd like to contact us here, the hashtag that you can see on the bottom of your screen, but it is a completely blank one there. Go to a girlandagun.tv.
Girlandagun.tv for us. Tweet us at a girl and a gun.
and trust us, it'll get to somebody.
Bye all.
Thanks very much. Returning you to your regular programming. John Mazel
See you tomorrow.
and Phil Moore.